Well, hello everybody. As you can see, I'm in the hoop house once again. We can't seem to get very much good weather here. We've got a day or two of sunshine followed by 2 or 3 days of rain. Yesterday a beautiful sunny day, and now we're in for 2 days of rain plus another cloudy day, I guess. Anyway, seemed like a good day to do a bit of an update around here. Show you something that I'm doing with the grapevines, thinning and harvesting some beet greens. Look at the peas that are starting to fill out, and then the very end of the video is once again some clips of things that are in bloom in the garden, but also the last item is that time-lapse photography that I did of the peas growing. So try to keep this as short as possible. This is that hybrid cucumber Rocky, which has all female blossoms and is supposed to grow those fancy little cucumbers that you see in the packages in the stores, and they are coming along. 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess I see about 6 in various stages of development, but 3 of them that are, well, I don't know, a third the size that they should be at full growth, I guess. So another week to 10 days I should be able to start using some of those. Peas are starting to get pods everywhere. I haven't had anything that is filled out yet, but I've been eating some of them, pods and all. They're not the sugar snap variety that you would grow for that purpose, but when pea pods are nice and tender and small, you can eat them. Well, there isn't any fiber or string or anything yet. Anyway, shouldn't be long, another week, 10 days, and I'll be harvesting peas. And the end, I should mention, I guess, at the end of this video is that time lapse that I took of the peas growing. So if you're bored now, fast forward through the end and watch the little time lapse. Well, at last, the artichoke has started to send up its first choke of the season. It's just barely getting started down in there, but once it grows up on a stalk or whatever, there are usually some other artichokes that form along the side. So when you see one, you usually end up getting 3 or 4 or more off the same stalk. I'm not certain who it was, but somebody that I follow on YouTube was growing peppers that were supposed to be green bell peppers, and they were producing things that looked more like a hot pepper. Well, I discovered that I guess I'm doing the same thing with at least this one plant. I don't know whether I got it labeled incorrectly or what, but this is supposed to be the hybrid called King Arthur, which is a bell pepper. Doesn't look any bell pepper to me, more like a, I don't know, jalapeno, banana pepper, some sort of a thing. But the other plants, I think I have 3 or 4 more here that were labeled the same, but they're not as far along as this one. They've just started to bloom, so time will tell if they're all wrong or if that's just one that I got labeled wrong. A little before and after shot here, I guess. This is the before, but I think it's time to thin my beets before they get so big and crowded out that they're hurting each other. So far I'm pleased anyway. I'm going to get some beet greens. I don't know if I'll ever actually get beets out of it. I'm always a bit pessimistic about my beets. I never seem to have great luck with them, but this is the best I've ever seen them look, so perhaps this year I'll actually get some beets. But do some thinning, show you what it looks like after I've got them thinned. I guess you can see the difference there. They're looking a bit knocked about because they had been a bit knocked about. I've got out of it a nice container of beet greens for this evening's dinner. And you can see I put a small selection of some of the larger ones on top there, and they're starting to form small beets. So again, I guess there's hopes of beet crop to come here. I think what I'll do now is side dress them with just a bit of the 444 organic fertilizer and then water that in. I probably accidentally chose a good day to do this. It's cloudy, overcast, and supposed to start raining, and we're supposed to have cloudy, overcast, and rain for the next 2 or 3 days, so that'll give them a chance to recover from the thinning out before they get the next sunny, warm day here, which would be most welcome. A sunny, warm day, that is. Just a little distance look at the grapevine, grapevines. The one on the left is the beta, and the one on the right side is the Somerset. And as you can see, the beta is still a much more vigorous vine. They both have some small clusters of grapes on them. I'll give you a look at probably one on the beta is easier to find here. Sorry for the noise of the fan. I'm standing right beside it again. I reached up to unplug it, and there's a yellow jacket hornet sitting on the plug, so I don't think I'll be doing that. Anyway, that shows you some of the small grape clusters that have started to form on the beta, which is the slip skin, sort of like a Concord grape. I haven't done any pruning yet. I'm waiting for, there are still some higher up that are just in bloom and haven't really started to form grapes yet. I'm going to only leave one cluster on each of the side branches of the vine, but I'm waiting to see which of the clusters is the better cluster before I start doing pruning. And also, a few videos back, I put a link to a video that said how to do summer pruning. I haven't done any of that yet. The side branches aren't quite long enough, but they're getting there. It's said to stop the ingrowth on them when they reach, I think it was 15 leaves. And mine, some of them are up to a dozen leaves or so. So in the next week or two, I'll be pruning off the clusters that I don't want and stopping the ingrowth on the side branches. It isn't often that I get to compare my garden to Hampton Court Palace. Probably the gardeners there wouldn't appreciate the comparison. I don't know if you've ever been there or not. I was there many years ago, way back in the late 1970s, I think, 1976. Anyway, at the palace there is a very large glass greenhouse, and inside of it is growing one grapevine, which is called the Great Vine, G-R-E-A-T, vine. It's a grapevine that was given to Henry VIII by the King of France, whoever the King of France was at the time of Henry VIII. But what I'm doing here, that is what they've done similar anyway, what you're looking at there is the end of my hoop house greenhouse with the grapevines, my two grapevines growing up the inside of it. Well, outside the large glass house at Hampton Court, there's a very large area of just brown dirt, not even a weed in it, or at least that's the way it was back in the 70s, and a little sign in the middle of it that says that the root of the grapevine grows in this area. So I'm thinking I have the same thing happening here. My grapevines are planted right up against the end of the hoop house there. So I'm sure I have as much root coming outside of the hoop house as there is inside. So I'm just about to do one of my clean outs of the chicken coop, and I'm thinking that I'm going to spread most of it this time behind the hoop house here, and as it decomposes and the rainwater or whatever washes nutrients down through the soil, it should help feed the grapevine. That's the theory anyway. I decided not to get too carried away with it. I just put one wheelbarrow full each behind each of the two grapes to start with, and I'll monitor that over the next 2 or 3 months, I guess, and see if I think it has a beneficial effect. If so, I'll add more in the fall.